Hello everyone, and welcome to BathroomBrews, the budget deck tech series proving magic isn't pay to win. Each deck will have a budget of $50, excluding the cost of the commander. Okay, listen up. What's the best common creature in all of Magic? Grizzly bears? Boring. Stormcrow? Come on, be original. The best common creature in all of Magic the Gathering is clearly Colossal Dreadmaw. It's everything Griselbrand wish he could be. A 6-mana 6/6 with trample, all things equal, as they should be. How does one build a deck dedicated to this majestic creature? Dinosaur Tribal is an easy way, but that doesn't show the beauty of this creature. Instead, I decided to only use 6-mana 6/6 creatures. There are so many creatures trying to copy the power of Colossal Dreadmaw, so the best we can do is give them some love, since imitation is the highest form of flattery. Selecting a commander for this deck was a no-brainer. In order to maximize the potential creatures, I had to go with the 5-color commander. And who better than o-kagachi Vengeful Kami? The stats and mana value line up perfectly, and she has trample just like Dreadmaw. Its ability will help deter people from attacking us while we ramp into big threat after big threat. It might have been cheaper to avoid 5 colors, however even on a $50 budget, you can build a solid mana base. Oh, and one more restriction I gave myself when building. I only included cards with mana values that were multiples of 6, so I only used 1, 2, 3, and 6 mana value cards. I know it would probably be improved by adding 4 or 5 mana value cards, however, I wanted to be strict with the theme. You can find links to the $50 list and my personal non-budget list down below, and if you can just give this video a quick like, it only takes a second and really helps out the channel. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm not sure if you know this, but there are more than a few cycles of rares and or mythics that are all 6-mana 6/6s. We have the Titan cycle, which includes Sun Titan, Frost Titan, Inferno Titan, Grave Titan, and Primeval Titan. Sadly, the last two didn't make it into the deck. Grave Titan was just a bit too expensive given our budget, and Prime Time is banned. Oh, and I almost forgot the newly printed Blight Titan, which is in my list. The remaining Titans are no slouches, and they all bring an incredible amount of utility to the deck. Speaking of utility, there's also the Soul of Cycle from core set M15, which includes Soul of Theros, Soul of Ravnica, Soul of Innistrad, Soul of Chandalar, Soul of Zendikar, and Soul of New Phyrexia. Soul of Ravnica and Soul of Innistrad, while not efficient, help us keep our hand full of gas, while Soul of New Phyrexia will protect our entire board from a variety of threats. The final cycle I included are the 3-color planar dragons. I actually don't know the official name of the cycle, but it includes cards like Rith the Awakener, Intet the Dreamer, Oros the Avenger, Teneb the Harvester, and Vorosh the Hunter. There are a few more you could include, but I found these to have the most impact in games. The others tend to be less impactful or just draw too much hate. Aside from cycles of creatures, there are a plethora of generically powerful creatures that you can include in your list to help with card draw, ramp, reanimation. For card draw, or pseudo card draw, I've included Wutalith Vortex Beast, Amarith the Lustrious, Combustible Gearhulk, Soul of the Harvest, Alenda and Azor, and Demon Lord Belzenlock. Be careful with Belzenlock, I've almost knocked myself out of the games with his ETB on more than one occasion. Now, one of the downsides of only having 6-mana creatures in a deck is it can be difficult to double spell early in the game. Thankfully, there are quite a few ways for us to cheat creatures into play using other creatures. We have Garuda Doom of Depths, since all of our creatures are even mana value, the new Kroxa and Kuranos for reanimation, and then Kodama of the East Tree to let us drop additional creatures or ramp. Kodama also combos one of the key cards in the deck, which I'll be going over shortly. The last creatures I want to mention are the ones that have overperformed time and time again. Given the density of dragons in my list, Miram Sentinel Worm has been an all-star every game she hits the table. Same goes for Tivit Seller of Secrets with both its ETB and combat damage trigger. You get to ramp or draw cards. And Hexmark Destroyer is just an absolute flavor win. It can take out large chunks of creatures in one shot. Like I mentioned earlier, the biggest issue with a high curve deck like this is the lack of ability to double spell early on. But both Sunbird's Invocation and Wild Pair help us immensely with that problem. The biggest downside, of course, is you need to be casting the spells from your hand to get these triggers. So Kodama or Garuda won't trigger these. I do have a general list of wild pair targets I prioritize. First is Colossal Dreadmaw. While this is most certainly incorrect, I can't in good conscience leave the real commander in the deck. Second is Kodama of the East Tree. Because of Kodama's wording, if you have both it and wild pair out, you will get 2 Kodama triggers, giving you potentially 4 creatures in one turn. And the number 3 is Demon Lord Belzenlock. It's a great way to refill the hand, despite the risk. The rest of the creatures will depend on the situation. Sometimes you'll need removals, so you can grab Inferno Titan or Vivictus as Madi the Dire. If you need to burn out the last little bit of damage, grab Ziator the Incinerator, which pairs great with Scuttling Doom Engine to deal 12 damage to a player. And now, I'm not going to bore you with all my ramp, removal, and board wipe choices, since they're all pretty standard for a 5-color deck. I leaned more into enchantment ramp than land ramp or artifact ramp, given the tighter budget. So instead, let's talk about how to actually win with this deck. Most of the wins from this deck have been turning big creatures sideways until everyone is knocked out. As I just mentioned, Zeator the Incinerator and Scuddling Doom Engine are great ways to get those last points of damage. But Warstorm Surge has earned its keep more often than not. And I don't usually do an upgrade section for a deck. I find them to be kind of pointless since most often you can just go to EDH Rec to find the best staples at any given price. However, I'm making an exception here. Because I actually own and have played a lot of the non-budget version of this deck, I use that as my starting point. So aside from better generically good staples, if you have a little extra room in your budget, I'd pick up Muldrotha the Gravetide, Wormcoil Engine, Morag Fury of Akum, Selvala Stampede, or Lurking Predators. All of these cards have overperformed in the games they've hit the table and will be my first upgrades to pick up. And with that, thanks for watching. Thank you to all my patrons shown on screen here. If you'd like to join them in supporting the channel, check out patreon.com/BathroomBrewsMTG for a ton of great perks. If you want to keep supporting the channel for free, just hit that like button and leave a comment. As always, this has been Ben with Bathroom Brews MTG, and remember, always wash your hands.